There's a man driving down the road in his car with his 5-year-old son in the back. And as he's driving, he's in the city traffic, driving along, and he's cut off by another driver. And he's furious, and he waves his fist and he says, "Douchebag!" And he drives, and he's guilty because his son's there in the back seat. And he pulls over, he looks behind, he says, "Son, Dad just used a really bad word." Now, I was angry, but it was a really bad word, and I don't ever want to hear you say that word, okay? And the 5-year-old kid says, "Too late, douchebag." There's a reason that I want to make some of these videos about fashion changes I've made. Now, I've made them because I've searched on the internet, probably a lot like you just did, because I was looking for ways I could improve my style sense. And the reason I did that is because I had reached a certain age where I was just invisible, and I was getting sloppy, I was gaining weight, I was feeling unimportant, and so I knew I had to make some changes. And I found YouTube channels like Alpha M that made a big difference. And a lot of these channels told you how to change your fashion sense, and I'm going to talk about some of those things today. I mainly want to talk about why today somebody my age, somebody over 50, should even care. And you know, I live in Utah, and I'm not going to preach Mormonism to you, but I do want to mention an anecdote about Brigham Young, the famous Mormon leader who brought all the Mormons here. When he brought all these people here, they started building log cabins from pine trees, and they started to make dugouts by digging into the side of a hill and making a house like a kind of like a cave, I guess. And there were a lot of the people who they were carpenters and masons, and builders. They didn't have work to do because you really don't need a carpenter or a mason when you're just going to build a log structure. So Brigham Young told all these craftsmen, take your skills and go to work and make dwellings for the people here, even if you have to trade your skills out because there's not really a market, people don't have spending money, but we need to build nice houses. And people asked him, why? Why do we need to build houses right here in the middle of nowhere? And he told them, as long as you keep building log cabins and dugouts, you're going to live like refugees. If you want to live like people in a city, you need to build houses like houses in a city. I heard that story in a museum, in a Daughters Utah Pioneers Museum. I love museums. And in this museum, it was made from an old government building, and they had told us about the craftsman the carpenter that had built a beautiful staircase and a beautiful banister and railing on the staircase. And that was what Brigham Young had told this man. And I would say the same thing to you, that as long as we don't invest in ourselves and don't invest in nice clothes that look good on us, and nice shoes, as long as we're going to wear crappy shoes, we're going to look like slobs at church, slobs at the office, and we're going to shuffle, and we're going to walk bad. I mean, I see people in their 60s and 70s in terrible shoes, wondering why they've got problems with their feet. You know, invest in your feet so that you feel good when you're walking around and you look good. And if you look good, then you're not going to feel like a slob. And that's kind of one of the reasons why. Now, today I'm talking specifically about sport coats. Now, sport coats cover a multitude of sins. And they're not just for weddings, they're not just for special occasions, they're not just for church on Sunday. You know, right now it's really hot outside, so I haven't been wearing a sport coat, but I have gone into the habit of throwing on a sport coat a lot, and I wear it around in it, and it gets comments, and people notice, and I feel good about it. Let me give you an example. You see, for not very much money, in a men's store or in a department store, you can get a nice sport coat that looks good with a pair of jeans and a button-up shirt. Or some people wear them over a polo shirt. The mannequin where I got this jacket, this sport coat, was wearing the sport coat over a polo shirt. Now, it is for everybody and for everyday use. And if you think about it, it's kind of like the name George. You think, I'd never name my kid George, and yet all the coolest guys in history are named George. George Washington, and there were some other Georges. But when you watch cop shows and detective shows, check and see what they're wearing. Clint Eastwood and in Lethal Weapon, the cops are wearing sport coats and they're out there running around and saving people's lives and shooting guns and being all action, you know? But they're wearing sport coats. It goes with everyday attire and it makes you look a little better. And if you're gaining a little weight, it's not so noticeable when you're wearing a sport coat. If you're looking a little sloppy, not with a sport coat on. That's the reason why you should invest in a sport coat. And it wasn't all that expensive. This was less than $200. And it's something that I try to wear as often as I can when I'm out on doing my day. So that was the thing I wanted to point out in this video, is let's look our best. See you later.